So there's a new gun coming to Valorant in episode 8, called the Outlaw. There have been numerous changes to guns in Valorant over the years, but the Outlaw will be the first ever new gun added to the game. Despite all the guns that are currently in the game, there's still some situations that don't feel like there's a right weapon for the job. So let's take a look at what we currently know about the Outlaw and how it might affect the meta. There's no gameplay footage of the Outlaw as of yet, but here's everything we know so far. It costs 2,400 creds, it fires 2 bullets at a time like a shorty, it does 140 body shot, and it kills light armored targets with only 1 body shot. I think when it says fire 2 bullets at a time like a shorty, it's referring to the fact that the shorty only has 2 bullets in its magazine before it has to reload. There's still numerous things we're missing information on, like penetration level, hipfire and scope accuracy, but it's a sniper rifle classification, which means it will have the most similarities with the Marshal and Operator, but hopefully still have a niche that makes it worth spending over twice as much the price of the Marshal. So let's take a look at what we know about the current stats of the Outlaw and how it matches up against its sniper counterparts. Currently, sniper rifles' main use is for their body shot capabilities. The Marshal does 101 to the body, which kills unarmored enemies, while the Operator does 150 to the body, which will kill any enemy even if they're fully armored. The Marshal is a cheap option that is mostly used as a mini operator against save rounds, where the enemy won't have any armor, but is not very effective against light or heavy armor purchases, since the time to kill is very long without landing a headshot. On the other hand, the Operator is way more expensive, but can be used against any type of armor, which makes it very strong. With this in mind, I think the Outlaw's design intent is to occupy a niche between the Marshal and the Operator, as a mid-priced rifle that can easily kill light armored opponents, but is just short of killing heavy armor. Due to the price being so much higher than the Marshal, and also competing with the other mid-tier weapons like the Guardian and the Bulldog, 2,400 credits is a lot, and only 500 less than the Vandal and the Phantom. The Outlaw needs to be able to be somewhat competitive when fighting amongst the other rifles, so that it doesn't feel bad against buy rounds. This way, it justifies its price. This leads me into thinking that the Outlaw will have a significantly higher fire rate than the other sniper rifles, so that it can be somewhat effective against fully armored opponents, by 2-tapping like a shorty. The 2-bullet mag will mean you'll have 1 chance at killing a fully armored opponent before having to reload. This would allow the Outlaw to fight other rifles on their full buy, with the drawback being a terrible multi-kill potential and the pressure of having to land both shots. One of the biggest reasons why I think the Outlaw needs to be that strong against heavy armor is if the Outlaw is comparable to the Marshal at dealing with heavy armor, then spending 2,400 creds to have a better chance against eco rounds, only to be at a massive disadvantage against full buys, seems like a terrible trade-off. Currently, light armor buys are very effective in Valorant. They are a way to give teams more gun rounds without breaking their economy, and with very little drawback. Fnatic and NRG initially started the light armor meta, while teams like Paper Rex continue to push the idea forward with things like the Stinger no armor force. This is because the Vandal has the same time to kill against light armor as it does against heavy armor. The Phantom, on the other hand, gets an advantage against light armor because of the 140 headshots, but because the Vandal is much more popular, it doesn't come up as much. As time goes on, more and more teams are getting comfortable with forcing back, even when they lose a pistol or buy round. Because none of the current expensive rifles are particularly strong against light armor, it can lead to defending against eco rounds feeling a lot more random and frustrating for the team that's ahead. I think this paints a picture that the Outlaw is a way for Riot to give players more reliable anti-eco tools for teams that are ahead, while still having a gun that's serviceable in the following buy rounds.